Hey, what's good, fam? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com coming to you on Tuesday, January 26th. I hope you're off to a great week. Today, we're going to talk about quarterback Paul Tyson, 6'5", 228-pound redshirt freshman. But before we do, hit that thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. We appreciate you more than you know. I keep getting a lot of questions about Paul Tyson. What type of quarterback is he? When is he going to see the field at Alabama? Could he potentially be the guy in 2021? Why no love for Paul Tyson? So I wanted to put together a video to talk specifically about the 6'5", 228-pound pocket-style passer that is the great-grandson of Paul Bear Bryant. All right, so let's kind of just rewind to the past two seasons. All right, it's kind of interesting that Tyson is going into his third season at Alabama, and he's only played one game. Now, last year, you had Mac Jones, threw for 4,500 yards, wins the Davey O'Brien Award. And then you have Bryce Young, the heavily touted five-star freshman, who didn't get a lot of playing time either, right? We've talked about Bryce Young plenty of times. I think Bryce Young threw the football less than 25 times this last season. So Tyson didn't get on the field. He came in to Alabama as a Rivals.com four-star, who was the number 10 pro-style quarterback and the number 11 prospect in the state of Alabama. Came in with that very talented class of 2019. Now, he finished his career at Hewitt-Trussville with a record of 19-5 as a starter. He threw for more than 6,500 yards and 69 touchdowns in his 24 games as a starter with the Huskies at Hewitt-Trussville. He's a great grandson of Paul Bear Bryant, so I think all signs clearly pointed to the fact that he would go to the University of Alabama. Let's break this up into 5 different parts, okay? First, we're going to talk about why didn't he play in 2020? I think when you look at Alabama's perfect season, I think a lot of the reason that a lot of these freshmen didn't play, especially in the offensive side of the ball, was because of the SEC-only schedule. I'd like to hear from you inside the comment box. Maybe you disagree. On the defense, we saw guys play that were freshmen. Will Anderson, Malachi Moore, Brian Branch, Tim Smith, and those guys saw significant time. But when you look to the offense, there wasn't a lot of freshmen that played over, 150 snaps? And I think the reason is because being in the SEC-only schedule, there wasn't a lot of room for error in each game. And I think that contributed to even the trickle-down effect on the offensive side when you look at Bryce Young's limited reps. So there was no way and no opportunities for Tyson to even get on the field. You kind of point to Alabama's season last year. There wasn't that many games. Yeah, Alabama was a buzzsaw, but Nick Saban had to go heavy on the gas. Okay, so what to expect from Paul Tyson in 2021? I think right out of the gates, I think there's two different camps, right? I think there's a camp that clearly wants Bryce Young to automatically be the guy, and he very well may be. Look, sources have told me going into the season, it is Bryce Young's team 100%. I think there's another camp that feels that Tyson is going to earn significant playing time, potentially beat Bryce Young out for the starting job. And that very well could be the case, right? I mean, you look at the quarterback room, each of these guys are freshmen. No, we're not forgetting about Jalen Milroe. All these guys are freshmen. The eligibility rule for each of these guys lists them as freshmen because 2020 didn't count at all. Paul Tyson enters this season as a redshirt freshman. Bryce Young enters as a freshman, and Jalen Milroe enters as an early enrollee freshman. They also have a new offensive coordinator. So getting back to what we should expect, I think you should expect competition at the quarterback position. And there's nothing wrong with that. You go into a program like Alabama, there's going to be competition at every single position. So these guys are going to go into springtime. And look, Bryce knows the system. Paul knows the system. But both of these guys are going to have a new offensive coordinator, and there might be a couple different wrinkles, but it's Alabama's offense. So there shouldn't be too much of a learning curve, and they're going to finally get this springtime opportunity, which these guys didn't get during the 2020 season. And I think that probably put Bryce a little bit behind. Probably same for Tyson, maybe not as much because Tyson had been here already a season, but in terms of really getting Bryce up to speed, he didn't have a spring season. So I think what you're going to get and what to expect in 2021 is for both of these guys to have opportunities. But I think you're really going to get an opportunity finally to see Paul Tyson leading the first team offense, leading the second team offense. And I think that is going to be great overall for Alabama's depth. Let's talk about Tyson's overall upside. I think when you look at quarterbacks that are in the league that have had a long-standing career. They're bigger quarterbacks, right? Those 6'4", 6'5" guys. Yeah, sure. There's kind of the runaround type quarterbacks that we're seeing in today's age. The Kyler Murrays, Russell Wilson, Pat Mahomes. I mean, all those guys definitely add different elements to the NFL, and that might be the way of the NFL. But if you look to the guys that have had long-standing careers in the NFL, they're bigger pro-style quarterbacks that don't run around as much, right? Or at all. So Tyson is 6'5", 228 pounds. He's got a laser of an arm. And I think what I've seen from him over the past couple seasons is him continue to work on that arm strength. He's got a really accurate ball. He can zip the football 20 yards downfield, 25 yards downfield, and you want that at this level of play, clearly. And I think that Paul Tyson, what he lacks maybe in kind of a top-end speed or shiftiness, I think that he can see clearly over the offensive line, being that he is 6'5". So when you have tackles, for example, this past season, Alex Leatherwood, Evan Neal, that are floating around 6'6", 6'7", it might be more difficult for a shorter quarterback to see over. I mean, granted, even Landon Dickerson was 6'6", right? So those are some very tall offensive linemen. So I think with Tyson, you have that size, and he's able to scan the field a little bit better and stay inside the pocket to make his throws downfield. So I think when you look at upside for Tyson, I think it's very high, considering he still has 4 seasons left of eligibility at the college level. Very high intellect with all of these quarterbacks entering the room. We had an opportunity recently to speak with Jalen Milroe, a new addition to the room. Super, super high intellect, very respectful young man. And that's what you're going to get from each of these quarterbacks, right? Guys who have a high intellect, who can bring a lot of their knowledge and a quick understanding to the game. So when you look at Tyson specifically in his upside, I think it's extremely high. It's hard to even put a ceiling on him because he has that NFL type size that you're looking for. And I think that it's been a while since Alabama has had a big body quarterback like Tyson leading the way. Okay, point 4. Did you know that during Paul Tyson's first 2 seasons at Alabama, he's played in just 1 game? That was during his freshman season against Western Carolina. Came in, didn't record any snaps. And the second thing to remember is that this is the great-grandson of Paul Bear Bryant. Pretty notable, right? When you look at kind of the guys who have come in the past, I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. So to have that lineage at Alabama, you can only imagine, kind of how his family must feel seeing that Paul Tyson is now wearing the Alabama Crimson Tide. So don't forget about that kind of when you're looking at Paul Tyson and kind of the particulars going in. Point 5, don't be surprised if Paul Tyson sees a significant amount of time during the 2021 season. And I think when you look at Alabama's early schedule, games include Miami in the opener. You also have Southern Miss. You have other games that include Mercer. You have New Mexico State. And look, this is the schedule for 2021. And I know things could fall off the rails again or whatever, and you might not have this schedule, and it might be a SEC only. But I think when you look at Alabama's schedule, you're going to have plenty of opportunities for a lot of these guys to get on the field. I know that's rat poison. Nick Saban would be disappointed to hear me talking about that, but I doubt he's going to be listening to this segment. But the point is, I think he's going to see plenty of playing time, which is great, because I think over the past 2 seasons, we've all been curious about Paul Tyson. So you kind of look to Alabama's slate, and you see that there might be some opportunities for a lot of these guys to get on the field. And who knows? He could end up being the starting quarterback. I don't think that anything is set in stone as of yet. Look, we're not even in the month of February, so it's really tough to even project the depth chart. So I just wanted to put this video together to make sure that you guys know that we're not sleeping on Paul Tyson, that we think that he's definitely going to compete for playing time, compete for the starting position, just like every single player is going into the season. Right. I think when you look at all the positions at Alabama, yeah, there's some definite guys that have starting spots. For example, Evan Neal at the tackle position, Emil Ekiyor at the guard position, John Mechie at the receiver position, potentially Brian Robinson if he returns. Other than that, I think you're going to have a lot of position battles, which is great because competition makes the overall product better. We've seen that time and time again. So I think you should certainly expect Paul and Bryce to continue to progress. I think those guys are going to make each other better. I think Jalen Milroe is going to add another quarterback that can create some excitement. He's got a big arm. We haven't really seen him compete at the college level, and really any of these guys, right? It's been limited experience for all of these guys at the next level, besides Bryce Young getting his feet wet a couple times during the 2020 season. Really, really excited about what Paul Tyson brings to the University of Alabama, like his size, like his arm. And I think when he does get opportunities, he's going to make the most of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We'll be coming to you with more content as we continue to push forward to 2021. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. I appreciate you guys more than you know.